All right, can everyone hear me all right? Is this better? Thumbs up in the chat. Yes. All right, great. Thank you so much. All right. And so Pitchfest 2024. So some norms are just keep your cameras on. As we said, if you have any questions, please message the host. And this event will also be recorded, and which has already been started. So let's go on to the next slide. And yeah, so who are we? We are a 501c3 nonprofit based in California, dedicated to bridging education gaps in technology. And our mission is to empower secondary students with educations in business, entrepreneurship, innovation, and advanced technologies like blockchain. And so our goal is to really be able to create an environment where people and especially students are able to learn and develop and grow their innovations. And so that's why we really wanted to host this Pitch Fest as a way to encourage everyone to create their innovations and see impact. So we have over 2,000 plus students taught and over 22 countries served. And so we thank you so much for joining in on this journey. And so what is Pitchfest 2024? So this is a conference where you delve into emerging technologies like AI and blockchain, and you get insights from experienced speakers featuring a pitch competition where students can explore creating solutions to what they learn. So this is similar to kind of a hackathon where students are able to really create ideas, develop their innovations, and have a chance to win prize money to support their innovations and possibly starting a startup. And so the day is virtual through Zoom, and we're just having an in-person session right now at our library. And so the schedule will be in more specific detail, but right now we'll be having an opening ceremony night with keynote speaker Charlie Isaacs coming in about 15 minutes. And tomorrow will be workshop prep day, and Sunday will be pitches and awards. So this is our list of featured speakers. So we have Charlie Isaacs, who's the CTO for customer connection at Salesforce. Karthik Osanagar on Sunday, who's the professor at UPenn Wharton, who teaches technology and marketing. Dirk Luth, who is a CEO at Upland and a OMA3 co-founder. And so Jeremy Della Rosa is a co-founder at a stealth AI /Web3 startup. And lastly, Ron Hammond is the director of governmental relations at the Blockchain Association, who works with Capitol Hill to be able to discuss technology as well as discussing specific legislations that's being passed through Congress. So day one opening ceremony, and we'll be joined by Charlie Isaacs very soon. And right now we have the prompt release in just a few minutes after we go through a few slides. And so tomorrow will be workshop day. And so workshop day is really focusing on learning as well as giving you the time to be able to develop your innovations. And so while this is optional, attendance really counts towards your score. So we're really looking to see who is dedicated and who sees the vision and was looking to interact with our speakers to be able to learn from them. And so a lot of these sessions have already been sent through email as well as through Discord. So please be on the lookout for links as well as more information. And so day three will be live pitches and awards. So this time we're not doing a video submission, we're doing a live submission through Zoom. And so we'll be judging on your live pitch presentations, which will be 6 minutes max in length. And so many questions in the Discord have been, what exactly are we submitting? So you're not exactly submitting anything, you're presenting your presentation, which is a PowerPoint or Google Slides. And as well as if you're able to demonstrate a prototype, that's also very beneficial as you're able to interact with other people, as well as creating something that is tangible. So that's kind of the hackathon style effect behind this event. And so we have a keynote session with Karthik Osanagar, who's the professor of technology and marketing at UPenn Wharton. And so there's an award ceremony and closing session as well. And so the prompt is, how do we leverage technology to create a better tomorrow? And so while this prompt is a little bit vague, it's intended to be vague because we want to see what you can make from this. As technology can go from social technology, business technology, innovations. And so we're looking at how do we create sustainable development and how do you use this technology for proper growth. And so you create a product, a prototype, a presentation, and you pitch it, and exactly what happens from there. And so the grand prizes. And so we'll be offering $1,000 in cash prizes to the first place winner, $600 to the second place winner, and third place $400 USD. And so this is not as a way of encouraging, oh, it's just for the cash grab. Well, that may be beneficial. We're really encouraging you to be able to use this money to go towards developing your startups and your innovations. And so another option, if you would like to also do a little social good, is that you can use this donation. You can decide 50-50 or full to a charity of your choice. And so this is our team. So this is a team that's been working tirelessly over the last few months to really give you this event. And so we consist of students at UCLA as well as high school students. And so we're really kind of the people who it's an event for students by students. So we thank you so much for really supporting us in this journey. And so thanks for listening for this a little bit. And so our contact information is below. And so for this next few minutes until we wait for Charlie Isaacs is that you can ask any questions in the chat or just out loud and we'll be able to answer for you. And so we can also take a break. So anything in the chat, anything if you have any spoken outside, just let us know and we'll be here to answer it. So whether it may be through about what the submission is looking like, what exactly are we, any guidance, any ideas? Sorry, lost it again. All right, so can everybody, okay, let's try. Okay, better. All right, so yeah, so can we present in a team or is it only individuals? So it's both. So you can present in a team or individuals. And so if it's a team, you would be kind of splitting up your presentation across multiple individuals. And so you have to kind of figure out the balance between that. Okay, any other questions? Oh, lost again. Okay, thanks. Anything else? Is a grading rubric that will be available to participants? Yes, so after today at around in a few, I guess in an hour, we'll be posting the rubric on Discord as well as on through email. So how long will the Q&A session be per pitch? So we'll only ask around a question or two for kind of just looking at if you guys really understand your product, if you really understand where that's going. Other than that, there will be very minimal like back and forth between the judge and you. And so the session will be primarily just looking at your pitch. So we really want to just see how you're able to properly and accurately present your ideas. Okay, I have a side project that I'm working on for some time. The statements, yes, absolutely. So if you have a side project that you're working on some time that aligns with the mission statements, is it possible to present it as a pitch? So if you were to present something like this, you have to present developments that you've made during this time. So to level kind of the playing ground. So let's say I've been working on let's say kind of a project. You'll be able to present what you've done in this time. So you can give a little bit of background, but let's say you have a prototype, you have to show the developments that you did during this time. You have to be very specific on what exactly you achieved during this event time. Is there any template for PPT/pitch deck? No. So we're really encouraging everyone to show their creativity and see if they have any design abilities, and as that is also really important to presenting your ideas. And so yeah, we're not giving out a physical PPT. If we're in a team, does only one person need to speak, or can all of us? If you're in a team, we encourage everyone to speak. Just for clarification, do we create a physical object that answers the prompt? No. So this is not a physical thing. And so if let's say a prototype, let's say you're creating some type of advanced water purifier, yes, if you have the time, you could create a physical prototype, but no physical prototype is required. Most of it is around the pitch and the technology behind it, which is through your PowerPoint. Okay. For the team, just okay. Okay, yeah, so yeah, just everyone's able to speak. Okay, any other questions? Give a few extra minutes and we'll just take a quick break before Mr. Isaacs joins on. And so, yeah, so we see that Charlie has just joined now. So just any final questions before he begins and takes over as to be able to screen share. Any other questions?
Hi, I had a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was wondering, does it have to be a physical and tangible product, or can it just be an idea?
So it can be an idea, but we really encourage you to be able to show what exactly you're able to present. And so it can be either. So it can be either physical or digital. And what the only requirement is you're able to present this in a PowerPoint. So let's say it's physical, you'll be able to do it through, let's say, images or other types of wireframes. Let's say it's digital through an app, a demo, or any stuff like that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. All right. All right. So we should be good to go. Mr. Isaacs, are we good to go?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make you host and you'll be able to let me know if you're able to screen share.
I've been having troubles with my mic. Hopefully it's loud and clear.
It's perfect from my end.
Okay, good. Okay,
all right. Let me just give me 1 second.
Okay, no worries. Hi, everybody. There we go. Look at this. I'll start at the beginning. A very good place to start. Good evening, everybody. And I've heard that I've got about 30 minutes with 10 minutes of Q&A. And I'm starting early even. Look at that. I'm looking at the clock. I'm starting early. So I'm Charlie Isaacs. I'm CTO for Customer Connection, and you're probably wondering what the heck that means, but that I'll get into that in a minute. But I've been working for Salesforce for going on 12 years. It'll be 12 years in April. And obviously, I love working at Salesforce. And it's not just because of little Astro over here and all the characters. I wonder if you all have seen the cute little animals we have. I've got some of them behind me. I don't know if you can see behind me, but they're hanging out with me. They're my buddies, and they come to our shows and entertain people. Anyway, but that's not why I'm here to talk to you. I am known as the person who runs Internet of Things at Salesforce, which now means Internet of Things sprinkled with AI. And I'm going to get into a lot of AI stuff. So hopefully that's okay. I think that's top of everybody's mind. But I was told to give you a little bit of intro on Salesforce. If you haven't heard of Salesforce, we're, depending on where you are in the world, we're either number 3 or number 2 software company in the world. But we started off with a bunch of naysayers telling us that we couldn't do this, right? I'm saying we, I wasn't on board, but I was also building a company in the cloud, and I had my own naysayers. I was building customer service in the cloud. Mark Benioff was building Salesforce automation in the cloud. So his mantra was no software, because before 1999, everybody used to host their software in their data center at their company, right? We called it on-premise. And with the beginnings of Salesforce, we convinced people, and it says there, thousands of companies followed us. We eventually convinced thousands of companies that it was better to be in the cloud, and you didn't have to do all your maintenance on-premise. So we had a new business model, a new technology model, and I want to touch briefly on one of the reasons I stay at Salesforce for so long. You know, that's a long time to stay at a company. But I just love the people here, and I love our ecosystem. We call it, some people fault us for this, but there's a Hawaiian word for family. It's called ohana. And I totally embrace ohana. And regardless of what anybody says about us misusing the word ohana, I think it nails our culture on the head, because we all take care of each other, we watch out for each other, and same with our ecosystem. And our ecosystem, when I say ecosystem, I mean our partners, right? We have this thing called an app exchange, which is like the Apple App Store. And companies build software on our platform. By the way, people know us for customer relationship management and the cloud company, but we're a platform. You can build cool stuff, which is why everybody's scratching their head right now saying, he runs IoT. What's IoT on Salesforce? Well, I'm going to get into that too. So we're going to have lots of fun on this call. But let me focus briefly on the philanthropic model, because I was mentioning the people here at Salesforce are really nice people. And that's because our company was founded on this model called the 1-1-1 model. And we donate 1% of our people's time. Like we pay people 6 days a year to do volunteer time. So we call it volunteer time off. We donate 1% of our profits, and we donate 1% of our product to nonprofit organizations. And that was a brand new philanthropic model for companies. And we've had hundreds, I think it may be thousands now, of companies who have adopted that 1-1-1 model. So you might be joining. I know I heard a lot of you are either in high school or college, but I'm hoping you'll be joining a company that embraces that 1-1-1 model, where your company is generous and donates employee time to charities and gives back. And you know what? Because this hour I'm giving you right now, I could say you're a nonprofit, right? So I can say this is some of my volunteer time off, but I've already exceeded my 6 days anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm doing it anyway because I have fun doing these. I love talking to hungry minds, and I think everybody on this call has a hungry mind. And so here are core values. And oh yeah, let me finish by saying why I think the people are really nice at Salesforce. One of the interviewing questions we ask, if you ever interview at Salesforce, make sure you have something on your belt, under your belt. Like when have you given back? When have you volunteered your time for a charity? And everybody, I mean, my kids went to, when they went to high school and even elementary school, they were asked to give community service time, right? So you can always think of one story, one anecdote where you really were blessed by your experience with that nonprofit organization. Okay, so here are our core values, our pillars. Trust is, and I'm going to get into a trust layer in AI, which is really you're going to learn about trust when it comes to Salesforce in a deep fashion when I get into that. And by the way, I'm going to drill way down, so hopefully that'll be okay, because I know we've got developers on the call. So we don't get paid unless our customers are successful, because it's a subscription model. Just like you wouldn't resubscribe to an online, like if you're paying for a podcast or a magazine or whatever, online magazine like Time Magazine, which my boss owns, Time Magazine. You wouldn't continue to pay your subscription. So you wouldn't continue to subscribe to Salesforce unless you were successful. Innovation, and this is really my key pillar because I'm in charge of innovation at my company, and that's what I do. My role as CTO for customer connection, I talk to a customer, I analyze where they're going to be in anywhere between 2 weeks and maybe even 5 years out. And on our platform, our Salesforce platform is really easy to rapidly prototype things. You could build stuff in Salesforce in a matter of minutes that it would take hours or days to do on other platforms. And I'll build stuff over a weekend when a customer asks me on Friday. If I really get into it and I get excited about it, which is most of my demo, I'll show you a couple demos too. I'm going to leave some time. I'm going to talk 25 minutes and leave 5 minutes of demos. So the innovation part is big for my job. Equality, we believe that we have a big DEI program. So we had an initiative for, we've done it twice or 3 times now, where we equalize pay for women and underrepresented groups of people at the company. So equality, and that's part of our giving back. We are nonprofit organizations that we support. It's all about equality and sustainability. My boss and a whole entourage of people are at WEF this week in Davos, and the whole sustainability team is there, and we have a sustainability cloud. So, and we're net zero, and we've been net zero for quite some time. Okay, enough of that. So here's our platform. Now, if I took a show of hands, and I won't, I'll bet almost everybody has used Slack. Okay, so that was one of our great acquisitions, and people fault us for that because we paid $28 billion for it. But I love Slack, and I can't live without Slack. And I think We could have paid double for Slack, but anyway, people think I'm crazy because I say that. Tableau as another acquisition. If you go around this wheel, you can see some of the things we're known for, like sales and service. We're the top service vendor. We're the top sales vendor. We're the #1 CRM. This is Marketing Cloud. So those spam mails you hate from companies that may be coming from us, I apologize for that. We have lots of commerce sites. All the top, I think every one of the top Fortune 50 companies is using our Commerce Cloud, except for one. I think that's the number. MuleSoft. Oh, MuleSoft is great. You should get into MuleSoft. If you're doing like a hackathon or any kind of event where you're building code and you rapidly want to build something, MuleSoft is my IoT hammer. It's an API, excuse me, it's an API bridge to everything, to anything. And we have our own app exchange for that too, where I can connect. A use case would be, and I'm going to show you this in a minute if we have time on a demo. At the Consumer Electronics Show last week, we demoed a connected concept car. It's called the Qualcomm Snapdragon connected vehicle. They had a car to cloud where they were pushing telemetry data from the vehicle into the cloud, all the sensor data, like the tire pressure and the brake pad wear and the battery level, blah, blah, blah. Anything you can imagine that is a sensor in your car gets pushed into the cloud. And then we pushed it into MuleSoft, and that gives you an instant connection into Salesforce from any API. And that could be not just a telemetry, like an IoT set of sensors. That could be weather. That could be traffic, right? If we're talking about cars. So it's really cool. It's a really cool tool. And I would get into it. By the way, all these clouds and all these offerings on this wheel, we call this a wheel and a brick. Here's a wheel, here's a brick. But don't tell the marketing people I called it that. The wheel and the brick. But we have all these industries too. But all the stuff you can learn about, we have this platform it's a training platform. It's called Trailhead. Trailhead allows you to learn not just about Salesforce stuff. Like if you want to learn about business process automation, right? You can go up on trailhead.salesforce.com and learn about that. So pick a subject, you can go up there and you get free training on it and you earn a badge. That's the cool thing. You can become a ranger. That's what my little ranger hat is up there. I don't know if you can see it. There's a hat up there. That's a ranger hat. And when you get 100 badges, you get a ranger hat. Oh, I used to. I don't know if you get that anymore. Okay, so going around the wheel, Net Zero, got Slack. We talked about Data Cloud is amazing. Data Cloud allows me to feed that data in from that connected vehicle and then take action on it. I've got a slide on that. Okay, so here's Data Cloud. Hopefully I'm not going too fast here. Anyway, so Data Cloud is, if you haven't noticed by now, our thrust is customer experience, right? So even if we're taking sensor data from a vehicle, oh, that's a funny story in itself. Okay, so the CEO of Qualcomm, Cristiano Amon, was at some party or some gathering with Mark Benioff, my boss, right? And he said, hey, Mark, guess what? I have a cloud too, right? It's called Car to Cloud. It's an automotive cloud. And he was, telling Mark that he was in the cloud business too. And then Mark asked Cristiano, what are you doing about the customer experience? What's going to happen when the car has a tire issue and they have to find a tire dealer? They should be able to pull over and find the nearest dealer and make an appointment, schedule an appointment right there just by talking to the something like Salesforce, right? So that's the customer experience aspect of a connected automotive experience. And we have something called Automotive Cloud, which is in that industry cloud section you saw on that slide, on the wheel and the brick slide. But we're all about the customer experience. Another use case would be, oh, my battery is wearing down in my EV. It might be because I have a charger port, and that's exactly what we demonstrated at the Consumer Electronics Show. Charger port failure, charger port error, find a dealer, find a dealer in my area and schedule the appointment automatically for me. And then when I arrive, notify the the service bay that I've arrived and get the service bay ready with the right tool and the right part. And so there are lots of things you could do once you get data being pushed into data cloud, telemetry data, and pretty much any data you can think of, customer data. And by the way, data cloud, I'm the IoT guy, so I'm biased, but data cloud was built for what we call the golden profile. I think I've got a slide on that. Let me skip over that. Okay, so here's a slide on data cloud. And what you have is the ability to connect in real-time data into all these other clouds running in Salesforce, all the clouds I talked about on that wheel slide. So sales, service, marketing, commerce, analytics, and our platform where you could build any app you want. And then all these industries like, the aircraft industry and education is big. I don't know, maybe you, some of you are from a university that uses Salesforce on your back end for admissions or whatever. We're all over the country and all over the world for our education cloud. There's automotive cloud right there. There's telco cloud. So we've got all these industry clouds. But let me go back to the other slide. So we have, it's automated and hyperscale. So here we have, for the data geeks, what you do is you take here's your data model. So the data comes in, it gets stored in a data lake, and then you map the fields. And I can map 3 different sets of fields. So I'm Charlie Isaacs on Twitter, for example, or X, whatever they're calling it. And I'm Charlie.Isaacs on Facebook. And on Instagram, I've got a whole nother profile. But when I go to the commerce site, it knows me as Isaacs at blah, blah, blah.com, right? And then when I get in my vehicle, it knows me as somebody else. So I've got all these disparate, different profiles. And if I opt in, it should be able to know who I am, even though I have different handles, right? It should be able to consolidate that view, and it should be able to take action for me if I choose to let Salesforce know, or the Salesforce customer know that's who I am, right? And we do some intelligent automation and normalization of that, what we call a golden profile in the center in Data Cloud, and then we take action. Okay, so these are the industry clouds. I already talked about them. I mentioned most of these already. And what you get by buying a industry cloud from Salesforce, for example, is, I hate to keep dwelling on automotive, but you know how when you buy a car, the dealer should know about you, but what happens if your wife has a different car and they bought from the same dealer? Well, that dealer should know about your wife's car and your car. So we have this concept of a household, a dealer household, right? So these things are well thought out and they're out of the box so that our customers don't have to do heavy lifting. And we call it clicks, not code. So you shouldn't have to write. If you want to write code, you can write code on our platform. We have this language that's just like Java that's called Apex. We also have this language that is JavaScript. And we have these things called Lightning Web Components that you can plug in. And by the way, Einstein GPT is, and I'm going to get to that. I want to get to that next because I'm going to run out of time otherwise, and I want to show a demo. Einstein GPT can help you write your Lightning Web Component. I could say, I want a Lightning Web Component, and you can even do this on ChatGPT too, because it knows about Lightning Web Components. You can say, I want a Lightning Web Component that has 2 buttons, and the first button makes an HTTP post call out and to an Apex controller. Apex is our language, and brings the data back, the weather data, and then launches a Lightning Flow, which is our workflow tool, and takes another action, right? So you could do that in a matter of minutes by not writing any code at all. Okay, so the other thing that's cool about what we did, we started off, here we are at the beginning ridiculing, on-premise. But guess what? We were handling all the on-premise problems for our customers by hosting their instances in our own cloud, right? So we hosted in our cloud, and we had all these people maintaining data centers. But guess what we just shifted to? We shifted to something called Hyperforce, where now we're running on Amazon, And we could put these data centers anywhere Amazon lives. And so we've got Salesforce instances. Our Salesforce customers are running on Amazon. And for example, Data Cloud has a high-speed instance, a real-time instance running on Amazon, and we call that a Hyperforce. Okay. So I talked a little bit about the ecosystem. We've got 170,000 partners, experts out there. And you might want to do this. I mean, my daughter just completely blew me away. She was a school teacher. I apologize to all the school teachers on the call. But she she really wasn't being passionate about teaching. It just kind of lost its luster, especially during the pandemic. So she decided to go up on Trailhead and learn to become a Salesforce, we call them an admin. And a Salesforce admin maintains the Salesforce system for our customers. And like right now, she's focusing on Education Cloud. So she's becoming an expert on Education Cloud, but she got certified in like 4 months on the Salesforce platform. And then she became part of our ecosystem. And so now I'm proud to say my daughter is part of the ecosystem. But here are examples of companies that actually built on our platform. I mentioned we have a platform, we have an app exchange, like an app store. Copado does release management, basically, right? They do, they manage code, right? They manage your code like it's a GitHub for Salesforce, basically. And you can push it to, you develop it, you push it to development, push it to staging, and then push it to production, and use Copado's workflows to do that. So that's an example. Systems to Success, I believe, is a nonprofit. And anyway, these people are sitting on the App Exchange, or they're consulting companies, and we call them, they're all Ohana, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so I'm 16 minutes into this, and I want to finally talk about AI. Okay, so we are not new. Everybody thinks, oh, generative AI is new. Well, we kind of cheated. And what we did was we started buying companies back in 2014. We founded our AI research team in 2014. And we hired this guy, Dr. Richard Socher, who was at the beginnings and the forefront of what we now call generative AI. And these were all like acquisitions. There are different types of AI acquisitions over the years. And we've acquired these companies and integrated their capabilities into our platform as we went. So an example is, vision and language. So this was NLP, is an NLP acquisition, and they also had some vision technology, so we could do correlative analysis on images. So we were doing image detection, OCRing, and things like that, even back in 2017. Conversation Insights is speech to text, text to speech. Recommendation Builder, that's some cool technology we've got built into our product, and we call it next best activity or next best action. And then we started to get into, like, we shipped Einstein GPT in 2023. And by the way, we're pushing some of this LLM code out to open source way back when. So you can see some of our open source stuff up there. CodeTF, Code T5. So we started shipping real products just recently, like starting in 2023. So Paula Goldman, for example, she runs ethics, which is, you're going to see in a minute, it's a really important part of our offering of AI, because it has to be trusted. Our number one value is trust. And like, for example, Paula Goldman sits on the White House committee for ethics and AI, the Ethics and AI Council. We've written 227 AI research papers. We've got 300 AI patents. So, and by the way, we don't, the only reason we have patents is for defensive purposes. So patents don't really mean very much to us, but we use them for defense, not offense. Okay, so here's our overarching strategy for, we call it Einstein, Salesforce Einstein. And if you have, let's say you're a company and you want to build your own LLM, that's totally fine with us. We call that bring your own model or bring your own LLM. And even if you build something on, I'm hoping that some of you are experimenting with SageMaker. I do it all the time. I've built a couple prototypes on SageMaker. I've used even their image detection stuff. What's it called? Recognizer or something like that. I've used that for one of our public sector customers wanted to take pictures of potholes and then automatically create a case, which dispatched the person to go fix the pothole in the road. So that's like an AI use case. It's non-large language model. But here are the ones that when people bring their own, these are the ones that we talk about. They're usually built on one of these. And I don't see Azure on here, but Azure is included too. But these are ones we're hosting on our Hyperforce, that Hyperforce infrastructure that you saw on the previous slides. We're hosting Cohere and Anthropic. Okay, so what do we do with that model? Well, so here's an example of semantic search. So we have Data Cloud. Remember that Data Cloud thing I showed you where you can bring in telemetry data. You can bring in any data source. You can even bring Databricks and Snowflake and whatever you want, okay? Or you can use our own data warehouse capability. And then you do a semantic search against it. And it all starts with a prompt. Actually, I'm going to drill down on this. Let me show you. Hey, here we go. So this is a slide I really want to show you. So here's the Data Cloud. It comes in and it starts with a prompt. We have this concept of a prompt template. So you know how you type in your prompt to ChatGPT right now? We make it easy for our customers to leverage their own data that's in the cloud, their CRM data, for example. Like we know, like if I'm John Smith and I'm sending out to my customer, Bob Jones, who works at Acme Incorporated, I should be able to customize an email to that person, right? I'm getting back to spam again, or maybe customize a sales pitch for that person. But I should be able to do that for not just one person, but I should be able to do it for like 50 people. But so I could build a template that says, "Dear customer," right? So I build the prompt like that in the prompt template, and then I say sincerely, username or something like that. But then I can sprinkle in, hey, Einstein, build a pitch for this customer that sells the value of Data Cloud combined with Einstein, right? So, and then Einstein GPT creates that. Okay, so it goes out, and here, let's run through the loop here. It goes out, it creates, it does the data retrieval. It goes out but first of all, it's masking everything. So it obfuscates my name and the customer name and everything else because it's all about trust. And we don't want anything to go out to, first of all, we're not sending any data out to any of the external LLMs. And when we do, you'll see that over here. Like if we go out to OpenAI, we have a zero retention policy with all of the people you saw on that slide before, where they're not allowed to retain any of our customer data and any of our data. So that's the zero retention policy. So dynamic grounding. So we can do really interesting things with proving that, and by the way, there's an asterisk here because this is just in beta right now. It's not shipped yet. That's why there's an asterisk there. But imagine being able to, you know how we get hallucinations with AI? Imagine being able to validate what I'm about to send a customer with what is actually in the Salesforce knowledge base or what is actually in the Salesforce customer database about that specific customer. So it could tell, and by the way, this is all human in the loop. We insist on human in the loop. That's part of the Einstein trust layer too. But we make the human validated before it goes out. And so I mentioned masking, and then prompt defense. You have to inject there's prompt injection. You probably heard about that at school, where, or you're actually writing code to do that, where you want to make sure that there's no security risks associated with your prompts, because you could do some really bad things with prompt and injection and things like that. And then there's also toxicity detection. When, like, what happens if you say something that turns out, or ChatGPT or Einstein GPT ends up with generating something evil? Well, that's a bad thing, right? So you don't want that to go out. So we have toxicity detection built in, and then we demask. So it's masked over here, right? We took out my name and my customer's name. Now it's demasked, so it's put back in. And then this is where we also have a feedback framework where, which is how, as you know, with generative AI in your studies, I'm sure you've already learned about how generative AI was built. It was a massive feedback framework, right? So we need a feedback framework too, to learn, to make sure that the models are improving, right? So that's the feedback framework. And then there's always an audit trail, because you need to make sure, a lot of our customers are customers that say, you can't just send stuff out. You have to, there has to be an audit trail, and we have to know what we sent this customer and why we sent it, right? And then we send after all that work, that's our trust layer. Okay, so now I'm talking way too much about this. So, oh yeah, I'm at the demo. Oh, good. How am I doing on time? I think I'm good on time. I have time for a demo, right? I've got about 10 minutes. Uh-oh. Is that me? Well, we're echoing. Batting next. By the way, I hope you can hear all that. Was that coming through okay? Did I lose all you? I'm not hearing anybody.
Yeah, you're good. No worries.
Okay. I'm good. Good to go. I can keep going, right? I've got like 8 more minutes, and then it's question and answer. Is that correct?
Just in case you're wondering, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, so let's do a, I'm going to give you an elevator pitch. Okay, who here has heard, don't answer this because I can't see you anyway. I'm going to show you a digital twin. Okay, let's see if this comes up. You should be looking at an elevator. Can you see an elevator? Maybe I should bring up a chat window so you don't have to keep going off mute. But so here's an elevator, and I'm hoping the sound will come. There's sound effects here too. So a digital twin is a virtual representation of a physical object. And we have several companies who are, they make elevators, and you can guess who they are. I think we have all the top elevator manufacturers. So ThyssenKrupp and Coney, and you can imagine. Okay, but this would be, for example, a company called Bosch. They wanted to make a general purpose elevator, excuse me, elevator controller that, by the way, it's 9:45 here. So I apologize. I'm on the East Coast. Losing my voice. The elevator controller monitors the sensors in the elevator. And this is Salesforce you're looking at it right here if you've never seen it. And this is something that you've probably never seen before in Salesforce, because this is a 3D Unity model running, simulating sensors being pushed into the Unity model. So if I click on here, and hopefully this won't crash my demo, you can see there's a data stream on the right-hand side with the real-time events coming in. And I'm going to simulate some events in the background here. But I'm going to do things like open the door. So the door is open, and hey, look, the sensor went in. Let's pretend I'm stuck in the elevator, and I want to be able to see exactly what's going on in the elevator. So I call the contact center. I pick up that little phone in the elevator. So they usually, when you do that in an elevator, they have no idea what's going on, right? They're totally in the dark, and they're talking to you on a little telephone. Well, imagine if they could see exactly what's going on. Like if they went to, hold on, let me go back in here, and they went to the second floor. Okay, they can say, oh, I see you're on the second floor. I Are you stuck on the second floor? Well, no. I actually went up to the third floor and the elevator failed. Bam. So now it goes into maintenance mode, or I get a motor error. So what I could do with a digital twin is, in some use cases, I can run simulations, right? So what happens if I 5 elevators fail at the same time? I could do what if scenario simulation. Just like, how many people on this call would get on an airplane knowing that the pilot was not trained in a flight simulator, right? You would never do that because pilots have to go like thousands of hours or like 1,500 hours, whatever the number is, in a flight simulator. Well, so why don't we run, and this is what you're going to see more and more often as you go through school and as you become engineers or whatever degree you're going to get, you're going to see more and more businesses doing what if scenarios and simulating their operations. So I just simulated an elevator failure. I can fix that, but I'm not going to. Let's see if I forgot which the unfix button is. So, but I'm going to go on and show you another use case, the one that we did in, as I run out of time here. So here's hopefully you can see this one. This is a connected vehicle, right? So now I'm driving my car and I have a problem with my, let's see, which should I make? The brake pads fail or the battery go bad? I'll make the brake pads fail. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm making the brake pads wear really fast. Okay, so I can say in Salesforce, I can say if threshold drops below 90%, then I want to create a trouble ticket and notify this person in the contact center or the roadside assistance that I've had a failure. And so now I'm roadside assistance. I can log into my little tablet in my truck, or in the contact center, I can see this. Look at that. It said warning brake pad wear is high. And then the 3D model shows the roadside assistance person exactly where the problem is, tells them what the problem is, gives them instructions on how to fix the problem, and make sure they have the right tool on the truck to fix it, and also the right part. So let's fix this now and go back up because I'm going to do something cool. So this is if you're familiar with the Unity tool, all I did was I took Unity, integrated this into a window in Salesforce. This is in a Lightning Web component that I was talking about earlier. And so you could do really cool things. Unity has a C# engine. And all I had to do, remember I was telling you about MuleSoft before? I took that C# engine and I do HTTP posts and HTTP gets from that C# engine running in Unity into Salesforce directly. And I can do a what if scenario. I can even walk through here. This is Unity, so I can walk through the model, what's going on the dashboard, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you get the idea. So I think I'm out of time. I can show you, by the way, this is what I do in my job. And if you're getting an engineering degree or a computer science degree, the world is your oyster because, and you're going to be infinitely more productive than I ever was because you are going to have large language models helping you in your job. I just started using large language models to help me. I cheat now, right? Even if I go into an area, well, they say, oh, that's, I know Unity, so that's a bad example. What's another one? Oh, Acme Incorporated comes up with a new 3D rendering engine that does augmented reality. I can go into, well, that's a bad example because it would have to be 2 years old. But I could ask ChatGPT how I get kickstarted on that, right? I can start asking it questions and it can help me through the process. And that combined with YouTube and a lot of other things makes me very productive. Okay, so now you know all my cheating methods, right? But don't use ChatGPT to plagiarize and do your schoolwork. Okay, anyway, so there we go. Is it question and answer period yet? I've already said too many bad things to you? I think I've got a couple of minutes left, right? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So a lot of students create like pretty cool projects, and then I've noticed that they come to a point where they don't know how to push it after the testing phase into like the real world.
Yep.
So what would be your advice for creating connections to people within the industry and like networking with like people you normally wouldn't network with?
Yeah, so oh, I'm getting an echo. Is that me on my side? Maybe whoever asked the question, go back on mute. Sorry about that. I hope it's not my new microphone that is echoing everything. So in my job, what I'll do is I'll work with a customer. Like, let's say I have a cold, what we call a greenfield opportunity. They'll say, hey, you need to go meet with Acme Incorporated next week. I'll study their website. I'll figure out what I think they want to do. I'll listen to their annual report, whatever. I gather as much data as I can, and then I get on the phone with them, and I try to present ideas to them that I think will stick. I call it spaghetti throwing. I hurl spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And sometimes they laugh at you and they think, oh, that's a ridiculous idea. And then some of the ridiculous ideas I throw out there are the best ideas because they stimulate thought and they know you're human, right? So the idea is to settle on one, what I call a proof of concept gem, right? So you find one proof of concept gem that, and you ask the person, if I build this, is this a home run, right? If we build this vision for you, if I build this on Salesforce, I'm going to spend a week on this project for you, or a weekend even. Sometimes I spend a weekend. I'm going to spend my weekend on this project. If I build this, is this really going to be something you want to see? And you validate it in the beginning. And then you build it, and you use a platform like Salesforce has, where you can build it rapidly. And even if they throw it out after you're done with it, guess what? That becomes a stepping stone point to the next prototype. So there's no such thing as a wasted POC in my mind, and no such thing as a wasted prototype. And I think part of your question was, how do you get into the right person? Is that what you're asking? How do I pitch the POC to the right person, or how do I get it to be successful?
My question was mainly how do you connect with the right people? Like, how do you introduce yourself, and what would be the settings to do that?
Oh, so it's easy for me because I get the account executive, the account team, and that's their job. Mm-hmm. So we have a group of people who's responsible. They're responsible for finding the right person at the organization that I need to talk to. But in some cases, you have to, if you build a good POC, and by the way, the next thing I do after I get done building it, and I have a couple examples, I will build a video of the POC, mm-hmm. and I'll make it easy for them, that champion or whoever that person was I built the POC for, to show anybody at their company, right? Say, hey, don't share this with anybody else. This is our little secret, but feel free to share this around in your company because this captures the POC. And that's another way for them to introduce it to other people in the company. And it also doesn't hurt to ask them, okay, so who would benefit from this project at your company? And that's a question you should ask up front too, because that's part of the success. Think, okay, what would make this project, if I build this project, will it be successful? Number one. Number two, are you the decision maker that can help push this to production? And if not, who do I talk to after we're all done? Can you help me talk to that person? Okay, so try to ask the questions up front.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, Mr. Isaacs. I'm one of the officers
Hi,
here.
call me Charlie.
Okay, hi, Charlie. Yeah, my name's Sagar, and yeah, I just have a couple different questions. One that I thought would be interesting was just could you share some like success stories or use cases where Salesforce IoT solutions have made a significant impact in company goals? So just like some kind of company that you kind of helped transform with the product that you created.
I mean, like a company that was successful implementing IoT on Salesforce?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. The one elevator company I was talking about that built the controller, that was Bosch, and they pushed that tool to market, and that's running in. They're feeding the data into what we call a Salesforce flow. So if you Google Salesforce Lightning Flow, you'll see exactly the tool they use to feed the sensor data from the elevator controller into Salesforce. So that was successful. Another one here, this is people smile when I tell them about this one. Jacuzzi, they make hot tubs, right? So next time you're sitting in a hot tub, you can say, oh, that's running on Salesforce. And usually when I brief customers about this, I show pictures of people sitting in a hot tub and I get myself into trouble. I have to make sure they have bathing suits on and stuff like that. Anyway, the jacuzzi use case started off in a warehouse at their headquarters. I was sitting across the hall from the warehouse with their executives, and I was waving my arms like I am right now. Oh, it's so easy, right? You could just build it in a minute. And they were working with this company called Particle IO, and the Particle IO people, they're the ones that took like, for example, the pump sensor data, and they pushed it into their Particle IO cloud. And if the pump pressure dropped, that means they were having a pump problem, right? Okay. So I'm saying, oh yeah, we could take that data really easily and push it into Salesforce, and we can create a case in Service Cloud, a trouble ticket, and notify the right people. And the CE goes, oh, that's a bunch of BS. It can't be that easy. If that's so easy, then the guys are across the hall. Why don't you just go do it at lunchtime, right? I said, okay. So we took their and I had already done an integration before with a Particle IO project, so I knew I had the ability to do it. So I called his bluff, and we spent lunch. They had their nice lunch in the executive conference room, and we went off and built we spent a half an hour integrating. I gave them an endpoint, and they just pushed their pump data into my endpoint. And I walked back in. I said, "Okay, where's my sandwich?" And by the way, I've got your demo running. And the guy was completely blown away. We opened the two doors across the conference room. We said, "Okay, turn the pump on." And they turned the pump on, and they watched the case get created, because we had the threshold very low, set very low in Salesforce, and the case popped out, and basically the CEO said, "Where do I sign?" So we had them up and running in about 90 days after that. And they're using it, they expanded their use case. It's not just problems in the jacuzzi. If you have a turbidity problem in your jacuzzi, like cloudiness of the water, right? If you have that type of a problem, it'll push you a notification saying, hey, your chlorine tablets need to be changed or something like that, right? I forgot how they're doing it exactly, but it's very successful. And they also they're leveraging something that we call Experience Cloud, where their partners, their dealers can actually come in and look at their data in Salesforce, because it's partitioned for them in a secure fashion. So they can see that, like, a dealer could go check on their customer using the jacuzzi portal on Salesforce. Anyway, that was a huge success, and a fast one too. And now I've talked way over time, right?
Hi. I just had a question. Actually, I just wanted a clarification. Does POC means we have to come up with a prototype as well? Like, is it a compulsion, or just a presentation of our idea will be sufficient?
Could you repeat that? Because I kind of broke up on that. Or could someone repeat that? Or
okay. Should I type it down?
I believe she's asking if she has to create a prototype or proof of concept for the pitch, which I don't think is a requirement.
Am I creating a prototype for a pitch this weekend, you mean?
She's asking if she has to as part of the competition.
That's right. Yeah, Charlie.
Oh.
I think she's asking. I think she's asking that for us.
Okay. Oh, good. It wasn't a question for me, because I couldn't hear what she was. I'm sorry.
I just had if you have a couple minutes, I just had a super quick follow-up for one of the things we talked about. Is that fine? Sure. Can you hear me, Charlie?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. You wanted to make a follow-up question? Sure.
So it's like speaking of like the wide range of devices you support, especially like the jacuzzi things included. I was just curious what security measures does Salesforce have, or like what are like some of the unique challenges that are caused by Salesforce supporting such a wide range of internet and of things technology? Because I know you said you like Salesforce itself has like jacuzzis, elevators, all those kinds of things. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there are many different answers to that question. There's a huge challenge associated with IoT data, and it, all by itself, right? When you look at IoT security issues, it starts at the product level. Let's see what's a good example. Okay, here we go. I don't know if you can see here. By the way, these people send me these products all the time. What does this blood pressure cuff look like connected to Salesforce? So I don't know if you noticed, we have an industry cloud that is a health cloud, right? So we this is called remote patient care in a box. And you ship this to the patient. They put the blood pressure cuff on and they push the on button, and the data goes into Salesforce Health Cloud. Okay. This is a huge security risk, right? Because this is my private patient data. So where does the problem with security start? It starts down in the box, okay? What happens if someone hacks into this box? Well, they have security measures that they've taken to help prevent that, right? So there are a couple companies like Particle.io. If you try to hack into their IoT device, it'll basically self-destruct and re-upload its own firmware, okay? So it starts at the chip level within the product. Then this is communicating up to the cloud, right? So it's going to start reading up my blood pressure. There it goes. And I don't have it connected, so it's not going to do anything. But after, if it's going to get an error. But okay, there's an error code 1, because I didn't have it connected. But up in the upper left-hand corner, there's a little Wi-Fi signal. As soon as it starts transmitting, a whole nother security, the data is encrypted on the actual device, right? So they encrypt it and then they decrypt it in their cloud. So there's another security layer. So it goes into something called Metasante Managed Cloud, and it sits up there. And they have this whole security layer around Metasante Managed Cloud where it's very difficult to hack into. It's a hosted cloud that we don't have anything apart. We don't have a part of any of that. So then when they go from there, they go into Salesforce. How do you get data into Salesforce? Well, we take security measures. You can, there are 5 or 6 ways you can push data into Salesforce. An example would be OAuth 2, right? So I would need a bearer token generated to push data into Salesforce. So I don't want anybody to be hacking into Salesforce from Metasante Managed Cloud. So they have to generate the right key to get into Salesforce, to get the data into Salesforce. Okay, but where the real security risk comes into play for IoT is on the opposite way, right? You hear all these horror stories about people hacking into cars, and who was it? Target had an HVAC breach, right? Did everybody hear about that, where someone got into the Target network, or was it Kmart? It was one of those big convenient department stores, and they were able to get in through the HVAC IoT system, right? So I advise my customers against doing any remote control of any of their devices. Like Jacuzzi doesn't have any write capability into their Jacuzzi from Salesforce. They only have They only push data into Salesforce. We don't push data back into their jacuzzi. So that solves like half the security problems right there. Okay, but now to answer your overarching question about how we handle security, remember, trust was our number one value, right? We have a very deep and wide security model attached with Salesforce. And we call them, there are things called permission sets and profiles. And so I have a profile on my own. It's user type A, for example. And I only have specific permissions as a user type A. And the administrator of Salesforce can lock down any access to any, even down to the field level on any object in Salesforce. So we have a very deep and wide security model. Okay, so that's on the app itself. That's on Salesforce proper, right? Running in the cloud. Then we have a whole security team, our Black Ops team, right? That prevents people or tries to thwart attacks, right? And we work with the best, these people are our customers, the top virus companies and security companies in the world. You can imagine who they are, but most of them, I think if not all of them, are our customers, and we have a special relationship with them where they help us harden our platform. So anyway, that was a very long answer to that question. Hopefully that answered your question.
Hey, we were wondering, what is a trait that you see in all successful people at your level?
What is a trait that I see in all successful people? Never give up. And what are you guys, twins or something? You had to say that all together? That was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, we're siblings.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
very cool.
That's a petite.
Good. Well, okay, so never give up. Always be learning. Okay. So, and I mentioned Trailhead. I try to do a badge, or at least attack a badge every day on Trailhead, because there are like 600 badges. I only have like 3 of them, right? 300 of them. And there's so much I can learn about even just my own product, my own company. And the other trick is, if you see something cool, like someone was asking about building prototypes before, POCs. If you are building a POC, try to pick up a new piece of technology to work on that POC. That's how I ended up with Unity. Have you all heard about the Unity platform, right? The virtual reality platform?
Yeah.
Okay, are you using that in school at all? Do they?
Not yet, but maybe soon.
Really cool platform. And I knew nothing about it before I started the POC. They said they wanted to do, this is a couple of years ago, and they said they wanted they had an FBX file, and they wanted to see what their FBX file looked like attached to Salesforce. Well, I picked Unity. What was the other one? There's 2 main ones there. Unreal Engine, right? So that's my next, I've left that one on the table. I need to learn Unreal Engine. I don't know that one. So I can't really intelligently talk to that one.
So what would you say that is one thing that people our age and like our level and status should do? Just never give up.
Yeah, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something because you don't have the right skill. If you really are passionate about something you really want to do, be a dog with a bone, right? Like I had I was in high school and I sucked at math, right? And they said, you're never going to be an engineer, right? And I used to take stuff apart. I built back when we used to have little small integrated circuits, I used to cobble stuff together in the lab and build stuff. Like I built a stopwatch once, which was like this big, right? And then the next year they came out with a digital stopwatch that was this big. So I had a professor tell me, my guidance counselor actually, they said, oh, you can't be an engineer because your math grades are B's and, B minus. You need to A's, A plus to be an engineer.
Yeah, he also has B minus grades. He's trying to get it up.
You know what? My freshman year, I graduated anyway. I went to engineering school.
Well, what he's not sharing is he had straight D's.
Okay, well, work harder. If you're getting D's, you should be working harder. And you need to know math. You need to know basic math. It comes in. I still use math, no matter what. To manage your own business, you need to do. You need to be able to add and subtract, right? You need. You may not need to integrate over a service area using calculus, but anyway, you need to learn that anyway. We're getting way off subject. So I had to take like 4 makeup courses my freshman year. So I was on like the equivalent of 8 classes my freshman year but I wanted to be an engineer, right? Gotcha. So if you want something bad enough, you just need to work hard enough for it. And by the way, if they did tell me, I was able to get around the math issue because I took a crash course in math, but meet the requirement. If they throw up a roadblock against you and say, you can't do this unless you get math, right? Well, then get math, right? Just work harder at it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Excuse me.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, I have used Trailhead before, and I had a question about, in the presentation, you mentioned the feedback framework. And my question is, why have it after demasking? Like you were talking about trust before, doesn't that like raise up trust issues? Or how do you talk about that with your clients?
Yeah, so the feedback framework as it stands right now, it goes back to a human, right? The human that asked the question in the first place. So they need to validate that what they asked was actually the right answer, right? It was answered properly. So you see those lame things at the bottom of the like knowledge articles that say, hey, did this answer your question? You ever see those where you say yes or no, it answered my question, no, it didn't? That's what the feedback is. And you need to be able to read the real the demasked data in order to make an intelligent answer to the feedback loop, whether or not it was a valid answer to your question or a valid response to send to a customer. So that's why you need to demask it.
And another small question, out of all the Salesforce products, if you were talking to a developer, someone who's making apps maybe outside of the Salesforce apps infrastructure, which Salesforce product that they can integrate would you say is maybe the best? Like which, I know you mentioned MuleSoft. What do you think is the best for developers?
Oh, for developers. Well, so our platform is the best. I mean, we have this thing called the platform, which is the core. You spin up a developer org. You're on Trailhead. Did you take any of the Trailhead challenges where you have to actually use an org?
It was for a Salesforce hackathon. I wasn't able to complete, but I did start them and I started creating an org. And
okay.
I did go into it.
So that org, you can get started as a developer just by a Salesforce org. On a Salesforce org. Okay, so that's one way a developer, and you can write Apex code. You can write, you can build flows, which is really, we call it clicks, not code, but it's kind of like programming, right? Because you say, okay, here's a screen node, and here's a decision node, and then I want to create a record in a database. We call it a custom object, right? So you're basically building code, but you're dragging and dropping components to build that code. So all you need is a developer org to be able to build code. I mean, to write code. If you want to be a developer, you can write Apex on that core. Does that make sense? Okay, so
yeah,
MuleSoft has its own language too. But it's also got the drag and drop thing. So you can XML is running in the background, and you can actually write XML if you wanted to, which is really yucky, or you just drag and drop the components. But if you ask ChatGPT, for example, to help you with build me an endpoint that has this JSON payload and does this transformation and sends it to Salesforce, it would give you XML.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, am I running over somebody right now? Is somebody else supposed to be talking? I've been on for what, an hour? No.
No worries, you're good. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Charlie. Especially thank you for going out of your way to give like a little bit more time for the question and answers. But yeah, overall, I think you're good to go. We just like to say thank you to everybody for attending. The Pitchfest, everybody can start working on their hacks now. And yeah, we just like to say a final thank you to Mr. Isaacs right here, or Charlie, for speaking for us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hey, keep doing what you're doing, everybody. You're doing the right thing by being in a pitch fest. That's great. Especially on a Friday night? You could be off goofing off somewhere, right? And you're doing the right thing. You're a nerd like me. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. So everyone, thank you so much for attending our inaugural Pitch Fest. This is the conclusion of our introductory part of it. You guys may now begin working with your teams or individually to create your pitches. And yeah, that should be it. Thank you all. Thank you. Also, if you have any questions, you may put it in the Discord and we will reply.